Welcome back to Sunrise Daily, coming to you live from our Abuja studio. I have with me in the studio this morning Nwafor, who is a policy analyst for the Alhaji Atiku Abubakar for President campaign. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm sure you've been following ongoing developments in the Northeast, particularly following the unfortunate incident in Metele. I want to just ask you what your assessment is of what unfolded there based on what you have heard. Well,
I must respect the fact that this is a national security issue. I don't want to politicize it so much, but I also think it's an indication of the fact that a lot of work still needs to be done in that area. From the videos going around on social media, it appears that our men were outnumbered or equipped, and I felt so sad and bad about it because these are people's children, these are Nigerians, and it almost seemed as though we sent them out there to get killed because I couldn't understand why a situation we've been convinced that has been taken care of as Nigerians reared its ugly head, and it's as though those people who have sacrificed their time and life to protect us weren't being protected, and I think it's rather unfortunate. It points to the fact that this administration needs to do more and do it quickly and more efficiently to convince Nigerians that there's actually something being done to protect our citizens. The soldiers are Nigerians. They're not from Mars. They're Nigerians. They're people's children.
You're calling into question the intentionality, though, behind the maybe insufficient armory or whatever the case, whatever it is that you're referring to. Do you think that there's intentionality when you say that they're being sent out there to die? What are you alluding to?
Yeah, what I'm alluding to is when somebody is ill-equipped for a job, if you send a doctor to a hospital and the hospital is bombarded with patients and there are no medicines there to treat the patient, it's a setup for the doctor because he might be competent. He may have been trained perfectly, but he cannot treat. So a soldier may have been trained perfectly, may have the dedication and commitment to protect us, but he's ill-equipped. So even if there's no intent to set them out there to get killed, but that is the scenario that has presented itself. So if people are dying and you're seeing an actual footage of people being killed, like there's no value to human life, you have to question who sent them there that way? Who sent them to guard the borders ill-equipped? What did the people think was going to happen? To me, even though I'm not in the military, I have this mindset that Nigeria is in a silent war, whether we like it or not. It's not normal to have periodic incidents of citizens being killed randomly in areas of the country. And we hear about it, and some of us take it for granted. But quite frankly, there is a war going on, whether we acknowledge it or not. Because how can you explain that increased number of soldiers being killed constantly, citizens being kidnapped randomly at huge numbers? That only happens in the war front.
Ultimately, what do you think the solution will be? Of course, you're a policy analyst. You have great insight into the policy document of your presidential candidate. What are some of the solutions being proffered in terms of national security by your candidate?
Well, His Excellency Atiku Abubakar has taken out time to address the real issues, because they're real issues. Whether you're talking about training, you're talking about when you actually fund, do the funds really get to the war front? Do they really get to the soldiers? When you're talking about synergy, what is really being done to create that synergy? How do you measure it? Do you have KPIs to measure that the funds being used are being utilized effectively and efficiently? It's easy for this administration to constantly bombard us with how much money is being spent, but I don't get fazed by that because it can only be measured. The only way you can measure that is by output. Has there been an improvement in that sector that you're pouring all that money to? So whether we're going to, we will need to train in our policy. We are hoping and we are determined to train our soldiers more, equip them better, and more importantly, make sure that the funds get to where they're supposed to get to, and have an objective party actually do the monitoring and evaluation of the effectiveness of the funding. Because
who
that's
would that
what's
objective
missing.
party be?
You know, in the military, there are experts that are actually international experts. The United Nations actually provides you with such organizations that are capable of coming in to do the M&E for your military sector. It's not the same type of monitoring and evaluation you get in businesses or in government parastatals. Is unique to the military. But I think we need that. We need some objectivity, somebody to come in and say, no, that's not being done properly. The ₦1 you sent is not for feeding, is not actually feeding the soldiers well. The X amount of money being spent on arms, the arms were not purchased because it never got to them. The training they were supposed to go to X country never took place. Nobody does that now. We just only hear that this amount has been sent. But if you talk to I heard Chamberlain earlier saying that they got calls from soldiers. Some of us have contacts with those who are actually out there in the field. If you talk to them, it's so sad, some of the things you hear. Their daily allowance don't even reach them. They're not 100% intact. But nobody gets to report that. You don't expect an average soldier to report that to the media. But if there was an independent body actually looking into that...
Is that verified? What you're referring, when you say that soldiers have not gotten their allowances, I mean, is that something that has been verified, or is this something in the gossip mill? I mean, where exactly are you getting this from?
Where we're getting it from is the actual soldiers in the field. There's usually delays in their getting their allowances. Sometimes when they get their allowances, it's not intact. It's not what's on the paper that actually gets to them. Now, let's assume it's a systemic issue. What boggles my mind about this administration is this whole idea that you came to change and improve, and every time we ask you a question, you say, well, it has always been there. So what's the difference? If you came here to tell Nigerians that you're going to be better, you had better be better, for lack of better words to use. So we have to see that you're doing something much better than PDP did. PDP, first of all, started this democratic dispensation we're all enjoying. They had to go through the growing pains of making mistakes and fixing things and creating a foundation. So if APC comes in now and say they want to improve on it, I respect that. But we're not seeing it.
When you refer to growing pains, what exactly are you referring to?